Number 1. Andy Bowen. On a spring evening in 1894, New Orleans witnessed one of the longest and most tragic bouts in boxing history. Andy Bowen, a scrappy lightweight from New Orleans, was set to fight Kid Levine. Known as the Iron Man of the South, Bowen had already built a reputation as a tough competitor, once fighting Jack Burke in a legendary 110-round marathon match that remains the longest fight ever recorded. But on December 14, 1894, his career and his life would end in tragedy. Facing George "Kid" Levine, Bowen fought fiercely in the ring. In the final rounds, he was struck with a powerful right hand to the head. The punch knocked him down hard, his skull hitting the wooden canvas with a sickening thud. Witnesses said the crowd fell silent as doctors rushed into the ring. Bowen never regained consciousness. He was carried from the arena, but within hours, the young fighter passed away. His death shocked the boxing world and served as one of the earliest warnings of the dangers lurking behind the sport's glory. Andy Bowen was buried in his hometown of New Orleans, Louisiana, at St. Patrick's Cemetery No. 1. His grave remains a reminder of a man whose endurance and toughness defined the early days of boxing, yet whose fate underscored the risks that every fighter takes when they step into the ring. Number 2. Frankie Campbell. On August 25, 1930, the boxing world witnessed one of its darkest nights. Frankie Campbell, a heavyweight from Hibbing, Minnesota, was known for his skill, courage, and the promise of a rising career. Standing tall and confident, Campbell carried the hopes of fans who believed he could be a future world champion. That evening in San Francisco, Campbell faced the powerful Max Baer. What started as a thrilling match quickly turned into a nightmare. Early in the bout, Campbell absorbed heavy punishment, yet he kept pressing forward. In the 5th round, Baer unleashed a furious series of blows, driving Campbell against the ropes. Eyewitnesses recalled that Campbell slumped helplessly, still on his feet, but unable to defend himself. The referee stopped the fight, but the damage was already done. Campbell collapsed in the ring unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors discovered a severe brain hemorrhage. Despite desperate medical efforts, he never regained consciousness and was pronounced dead hours later. His death devastated the boxing community and haunted Max Baer for the rest of his life. Frankie Campbell was laid to rest in Holy Cross Catholic Cemetery in Colma, California. His grave remains a somber reminder of a fighter whose dreams ended too soon, and of the brutal truth that even in victory, boxing can carry unbearable tragedy. Number 3. Jimmy Doyle. On June 24, 1947, the streets of Cleveland filled with anticipation. Local fans gathered to watch their hometown fighter, Jimmy Doyle, challenge the great Sugar Ray Robinson for the world welterweight title. Doyle, born James Delaney, was just 22 years old. A young man with fast hands, a fearless heart, and the dream of becoming a world champion. But that night, his dream turned into one of boxing's most tragic stories. From the opening bell, Robinson's skill and power dominated the fight. Doyle fought bravely, pressing forward with determination, but by the 8th round, the punishment had taken its toll. Robinson landed a crushing left hook that sent Doyle crashing to the canvas. The referee immediately waved off the bout. As the crowd roared in confusion, Doyle lay motionless. He was carried from the ring, rushed to St. Vincent Charity Hospital, and placed under emergency care. Hours later, the announcement came. Jimmy Doyle had died from a brain hemorrhage, never regaining consciousness. His death shocked the nation, and Robinson himself was deeply shaken. Rumors later spread that Doyle had been fighting to buy his mother a house, adding a heartbreaking note to the tragedy. Jimmy Doyle was buried at Calvary Cemetery in East Los Angeles, California. Today, his grave stands as a quiet reminder of a young fighter's courage, and of the thin line between glory and heartbreak in the squared circle. Number 4. Benny "Kid" Paret. On March 24, 1962, Madison Square Garden became the stage for one of boxing's most haunting tragedies. Benny "Kid" Paret, the proud welterweight champion from Cuba, was defending his title against Emil Griffith in their 3rd and final bout. Paret, only 25 years old, was known for his resilience and fearless style, but that night would be his last in the ring. The fight began competitively, but tensions were high. Just weeks earlier, Paret had taunted Griffith with a slur during the weigh-in, an insult that added a personal fire to the challenger's punches. In the 12th round, Griffith exploded with a relentless barrage. Trapped against the ropes, Paret endured more than 20 unanswered punches to the head. The referee hesitated, and by the time he stepped in, Paret was already slumping unconscious. He was rushed from the arena to Roosevelt Hospital, where doctors battled to save him. For 10 days, Paret remained in a coma, his condition worsening with each passing hour. On April 3, 1962, he was pronounced dead from massive brain injuries. His death shook the boxing world and sparked heated debates over safety regulations, referee responsibilities, and the brutal realities of the sport. Benny Kid Paret was laid to rest at St. Raymond's Cemetery in the Bronx, New York. His grave serves as a reminder not only of a talented champion, but also of the night that changed boxing forever. Number 5. Duk Koo Kim. On November 13, 1982, a packed crowd gathered in Las Vegas for the WBA Lightweight Championship. South Korean challenger Duk Koo Kim faced American champion Ray Boom Boom Mancini. At just 23 years old, Kim carried with him the hopes of his nation, known for his relentless fighting spirit and his determination to win at all costs. The fight was grueling from the start. Kim absorbed Mancini's punishing combinations but refused to back down. Round after round, the two warriors exchanged brutal blows in a contest that pushed both men beyond their limits. By the 14th round, Kim's body was exhausted, yet his pride kept him standing. Then came the decisive moment. Mancini landed a crushing right hand that sent Kim staggering across the ring before collapsing to the canvas. The fight was over, but the true tragedy had just begun. Kim was carried out on a stretcher and rushed to the Desert Springs Hospital. Surgeons worked for hours to relieve pressure on his brain, but the damage was irreversible. On November 17th, just 4 days later, Duk Koo Kim died from a severe brain hemorrhage. His death sent shockwaves through the world of boxing. Within months, championship fights were shortened from 15 rounds to 12, and medical protocols were tightened to protect fighters. Duk Koo Kim's body was returned to South Korea, where he was buried in his hometown of Goseong, South Korea. His grave has since become a place of mourning and reflection, a reminder of the young warrior who gave everything in the ring and whose sacrifice reshaped the future of boxing. Number 6. Johnny Owen. On September 19, 1980, in Los Angeles, California, a world title fight turned into a tragedy that would haunt boxing forever. Johnny Owen, a bantamweight from Merthyr Tydfil, Wales, was known as the Matchstick Man for his thin frame and quiet demeanor. Despite his fragile appearance, he was a fierce competitor who had risen through the ranks with skill and determination. That night, Owen faced Lupe Pintor of Mexico for the WBC bantamweight title. From the opening rounds, it was clear that Owen was up against a formidable opponent. Still, he fought bravely, pressing forward and refusing to quit. The fight went into the 12th round, when Pintor landed a devastating right hand that sent Owen crashing to the canvas. He lay motionless, and the referee immediately called an end to the fight. Doctors rushed into the ring as the crowd looked on in stunned silence. Owen was taken to California Hospital Medical Center, where he underwent emergency surgery to remove a blood clot from his brain. For weeks, he remained in a coma, his family by his side. Tragically, on November 4, 1980, Johnny Owen passed away at the age of 24. His death shook both the British and Mexican boxing communities. In Mexico, fans and even Pintor himself mourned deeply, recognizing Owen's courage and sportsmanship. Back home in Wales, thousands lined the streets for his funeral. Johnny Owen was buried at Pant Cemetery in Merthyr Tydfil, Wales. His grave stands as a symbol of quiet strength, a young man who fought with all his heart but paid the ultimate price. Number 7. Davey Moore. On March 21, 1963, a title fight in Los Angeles turned into one of boxing's most heartbreaking tragedies. Davey Moore, the 29-year-old featherweight champion from Springfield, Ohio, was a beloved figure in the sport. Known for his speed, skill, and humility outside the ring, Moore had defended his world title 4 times and was considered one of boxing's brightest stars. That night, he stepped into the ring against Cuban challenger Sugar Ramos. The fight was fierce but competitive, both men trading punches before a stunned crowd. In the 10th round, Ramos landed a crushing combination. Moore staggered backward, his neck snapping against the bottom ring rope. The crowd gasped as Moore struggled to rise, clearly dazed but determined to continue. The referee allowed the fight to go on briefly, but Moore's strength was gone. The bout was stopped, and he was quickly taken to White Memorial Hospital. Doctors discovered Moore had suffered a severe brain stem injury from the whiplash against the ropes. Despite their efforts, his condition worsened. Just 2 days later, on March 23, 1963, Davy Moore died, leaving behind a wife and 5 children. His death sparked outrage and even inspired Bob Dylan's protest song, Who Killed Davy Moore? A haunting reflection on the dangers of the sport. Davy Moore was laid to rest at Ferncliff Cemetery in Springfield, Ohio. His grave is a quiet reminder of a champion taken too soon, and of the brutal realities that sometimes lurk behind boxing's glory. Number 8. Ernie Schaff. In the early 1930s, heavyweight boxing was filled with danger, and few stories capture that risk more than the fate of Ernie Schaff. Born in Massachusetts, Schaff was a strong contender in the heavyweight division, facing some of the toughest names of his era. He had already stepped into the ring with future champions like Max Baer and Primo Carnera, proving himself as a rugged and durable fighter. But behind his toughness, Schaff had endured severe punishment. Just 6 months before his final bout, he had taken a brutal beating from Max Baer that left him weakened. Still, driven by pride and the desire to climb back to the top, Schaff agreed to face Italian giant Primo Carnera on February 10, 1933, at Madison Square Garden. The fight was hard-fought, but in the 13th round, Carnera landed a powerful blow that sent Schaff to the canvas. He never regained consciousness. Doctors discovered that Schaff had been fighting while still suffering from complications of the flu and possibly lingering effects from previous beatings. He died 2 days later, at just 24 years old. His death highlighted the dangers of overmatching fighters and the lack of medical safeguards in boxing at the time. Ernie Schaff was laid to rest at Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge, Massachusetts. His grave marks the resting place of a brave young fighter whose career ended far too soon. A reminder that in boxing, one fight too many can be fatal. Number 9. Maxim Dadashev. Maxim Dadashev was one of Russia's brightest rising boxing stars. Nicknamed Mad Max, he fought with precision, speed, and relentless determination. By 2019, he was undefeated in 13 professional bouts and on the verge of earning a title shot in the super lightweight division. But his promising career and his life were cut short in devastating fashion. On July 19, 2019, at the MGM National Harbor in Maryland, Dadashev stepped into the ring against Puerto Rican contender Subriel Matias. The fight quickly turned into a brutal war. Round after round, Dadashev absorbed heavy punishment, but he refused to quit. His trainer, the legendary Buddy McGirt, could see the damage piling up. By the 11th round, Dadashev was barely standing. McGirt made a life-saving decision. He stopped the fight, telling his fighter, "I'm not going to let you get hurt." But the damage was already done. Moments after leaving the ring, Dadashev collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors performed emergency brain surgery to relieve swelling from a massive subdural hematoma. For 2 days, he fought for his life. On July 23, 2019, Maxim Dadashev passed away at just 28 years old. His death shocked the boxing world. Tributes poured in from fellow fighters, trainers, and fans who believed he had the heart of a champion. He was later laid to rest in his hometown of St. Petersburg, Russia. His grave became a symbol of both unrealized potential and the unforgiving nature of boxing, a sport where even the most promising careers can end in tragedy. Number 11. Francisco Kiko Bajines. Francisco Kiko Bajines was a promising young bantamweight fighter from Mexico, known for his aggressive style and fearless spirit inside the ring. By the early 1980s, he was climbing the ranks, earning a reputation as one of the most exciting fighters in his division. At just 24 years old, Bajines was given the chance of a lifetime, a fight for the WBC interim bantamweight title. On September 1, 1983, at the Forum in Inglewood, California, Bajines faced Alberto Davila, a seasoned and skilled Mexican-American fighter. For 11 grueling rounds, Bajines showcased his heart, trading blow for blow in a closely contested battle. Going into the final round, the fight was still up for grabs. But in the 12th, tragedy struck. Davila landed a powerful right hand that sent Bajines staggering backward. Moments later, he collapsed in the ring. Medics rushed in as the crowd fell silent. Bajines was transported to Daniel Freeman Marina Hospital in Marina del Rey, where doctors discovered a massive brain hemorrhage. Despite their efforts, he slipped into a coma and died 3 days later, on September 4, 1983. The boxing world was devastated. Alberto Davila, his opponent, broke down in tears, devastated by the outcome. Bajines' death became another grim reminder of the dangers of boxing, adding to the growing calls for stricter safety measures in the sport. Francisco Kiko Bajines was laid to rest in his hometown of Guadalajara, Mexico. His grave remains a solemn place where fans remember not only his final tragic fight, but also the courage and promise of a boxer whose life ended far too soon. Number 14, Lee Evander Johnson. Lee Evander Johnson was a fighter who embodied perseverance. Born in Atlantic City, New Jersey in 1969, he spent years grinding through the lightweight division, often overlooked but never giving up. After more than a decade of fighting, his determination finally paid off. In June 2005, at age 35, Johnson captured the IBF lightweight title, fulfilling a lifelong dream. But just 3 months later, tragedy struck. On September 17, 2005, in Las Vegas, Johnson made his first title defense against Jesus Chavez, a relentless Mexican challenger. The fight was punishing from the start. Chavez's pressure and power overwhelmed Johnson, who took brutal punishment round after round, but refused to quit. By the 11th round, Johnson's body was showing signs of collapse. The referee stopped the fight, awarding Chavez the victory. Johnson, dazed and exhausted, left the ring on his own but collapsed soon after in his dressing room. He was rushed to University Medical Center in Las Vegas, where doctors performed emergency brain surgery for severe swelling caused by a subdural hematoma. Despite intensive care, Johnson never recovered. On September 22, 2005, just 5 days after the fight, he passed away at the age of 35. His death stunned the boxing world, not only because of the brutality of the fight, but also because he had finally reached the peak of his career, only to lose his life defending his hard-earned title. Lee Evander Johnson was laid to rest in his hometown of Atlantic City, New Jersey. His grave is a painful reminder that even for the most resilient fighters, boxing can take everything in a single night. Number 15, Pedro Alcazar. Pedro Alcazar, known as El Rockero, was one of Panama's brightest boxing talents. Born in 1975, he carried the pride of a nation with every fight, following in the footsteps of Panamanian greats like Roberto Duran. A disciplined and intelligent fighter, Alcazar captured the WBO super flyweight title in 2001, earning recognition as a rising star on the world stage. On June 22, 2002, Alcazar defended his title against Mexican challenger Fernando Montiel at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The bout was hard-fought, with Montiel ultimately stopping Alcazar in the 6th round. It was a bitter defeat, but what came next shocked the entire sport. After the fight, Alcazar seemed stable. He was examined by doctors and released, spending the evening with his team. But the next morning, tragedy struck. Alcazar collapsed in his hotel room and was rushed to University Medical Center in Las Vegas. Doctors discovered a severe brain injury, the delayed result of trauma sustained during the fight. On June 24, 2002, 2 days after stepping out of the ring, Pedro Alcazar was pronounced dead at just 26 years old. His sudden passing devastated Panama, where Alcazar was not only a champion but also a national hero. His death highlighted the hidden dangers of boxing. How fighters can appear fine after a fight, only for fatal injuries to surface hours or even days later. Pedro Alcazar was laid to rest in his homeland of Panama City, Panama. His grave stands as a tribute to a fighter who gave everything for his country, and as a somber warning of boxing's silent and deadly risks. Number 16, Young Ali. Young Ali, whose real name was Asaman Ali, was a Kenyan boxer who carried the hopes of his country whenever he stepped into the ring. Born in Mombasa in 1971, he rose through the lightweight ranks with raw talent, determination, and a relentless fighting spirit. Known for his speed and willingness to exchange punches, he became one of Africa's most promising boxing prospects in the 1990s. On April 24, 1995, in Nairobi, young Ali faced David DK Poison Kamau, a rising Kenyan star who would later go on to challenge for world titles. The bout was billed as a major domestic clash, pitting two warriors against each other for national pride. But what was supposed to be a showcase of Kenyan boxing talent turned into a tragedy. From the opening rounds, Kamau's power was too much for young Ali. He absorbed punishing blows but refused to back down, determined to go the distance. By the middle rounds, the punishment had taken its toll. Ali collapsed in the ring after a barrage of punches, unconscious before medics could reach him. He was rushed to Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi, where doctors discovered severe brain injuries. Despite their efforts, young Ali never recovered. He died just hours later, at only 24 years old. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Kenya's sporting community. Fans mourned a young fighter whose career had ended before it truly began. His death also raised serious concerns about medical standards and ringside safety in African boxing at the time. Young Ali was laid to rest in his hometown of Mombasa, Kenya. His grave remains a reminder of a fighter's bravery and the unforgiving danger of the sport he loved. Number 17, Martin Sanchez. Martin Sanchez, nicknamed the Fireman, was a Mexican boxer who fought with grit and determination. Born in Tijuana, he carried the proud fighting spirit of Mexico every time he entered the ring. Known for his aggressive style and willingness to take risks, Sanchez was respected as a tough competitor who never backed down. On July 1, 2005, Sanchez faced Rustam Nugaev of Russia at the Mandalay Bay Resort in Las Vegas. The fight was part of an undercard for a major boxing event, and Sanchez was eager to make a statement. For 9 rounds, the two fighters traded heavy blows in a grueling battle. Sanchez absorbed tremendous punishment, but kept coming forward, showing the kind of heart that Mexican boxing fans admire. In the 9th round, after taking another series of clean punches, Sanchez suddenly collapsed in his corner. The arena fell silent as medics rushed to his aid. He was transported to University Medical Center in Las Vegas, the same hospital where other fighters had fought for their lives. Doctors discovered severe brain trauma. Tragically, Sanchez died just hours later, at only 26 years old. His death came less than a year after another high-profile ring fatality, Leander Johnson's, and reignited debates about safety in boxing. Fans and fellow fighters mourned him as another warrior lost too soon to the dangers of the sport. Martin Sanchez was laid to rest in Tijuana, Mexico. His grave is a somber reminder of the risks every fighter takes, stepping between the ropes with courage, knowing each bout could be their last. Number 18, Daniel Aguilon. Daniel Aguilon was a young Mexican super featherweight with dreams of becoming a world champion. Born in 1984, he was only beginning to make his mark on the professional boxing scene. Known for his courage and willingness to trade punches, Aguilon had the heart of a true Mexican warrior, a trait that endeared him to fans. On October 15, 2008, Aguilon stepped into the ring against fellow Mexican fighter Alejandro Sanabria in Mexico City. The fight was competitive, showcasing both men's determination. For 9 hard rounds, Aguilon fought with grit, but Sanabria's power began to take its toll. In the final seconds of the 10th round, Sanabria landed a crushing right hand that sent Aguilon crashing to the canvas. The crowd gasped as the young fighter lay motionless. Ringside doctors rushed in and worked frantically before rushing him to the National Medical Center in Mexico City. For 5 days, Aguilon remained in a coma, his condition critical. Despite every effort by doctors, he never regained consciousness. On October 18, 2008, Daniel Aguilon died from brain injuries sustained in the fight. He was just 24 years old. The tragedy was particularly haunting because Sanabria, his opponent, was devastated and reportedly considered retiring from boxing afterward. Aguilon's death added to Mexico's long list of ring fatalities, sparking renewed concerns about fighter safety. Daniel Aguilon was laid to rest in his hometown in Mexico. His grave is a painful reminder of how quickly boxing can turn from glory to tragedy, especially for young fighters chasing their dreams. Number 19, Kim Tae-shik. Kim Tae-shik was a fierce South Korean flyweight who rose to prominence in the late 1970s. Born in 1957, he was known for his relentless pressure and punching power, traits that carried him to the top of the boxing world. In 1980, he achieved his dream, capturing the WBA flyweight title and bringing pride to his country. But just 2 years later, his career and life would be cut short in tragedy. On December 19, 1982, in Incheon, South Korea, Kim faced Filipino challenger Roberto Ramirez in a non-title bout. What started as a routine fight quickly turned into a nightmare. For several rounds, Kim absorbed heavy punishment. True to his warrior spirit, he refused to quit, pressing forward despite the damage. But in the later rounds, his body began to break down. After the 10th round, he collapsed in his corner, unconscious. The arena fell into shock as medics rushed into the ring. Kim was taken to a local hospital, where doctors discovered a severe brain hemorrhage. Despite surgery and intensive care, he remained in critical condition. Just a few days later, he died from his injuries at only 25 years old. His death devastated South Korean boxing, as fans mourned the loss of a national champion who had brought honor to their country. Kim Tae-shik's passing also highlighted the brutal toll boxing can take, even on world-class athletes at the peak of their careers. Kim Tae-shik was laid to rest in South Korea, where his grave is still visited by fans who remember him not only as a champion, but as a fighter who gave everything inside the ring. Number 20. Angelo Jacopuxi. Angelo Jacopuxi was an Italian middleweight who embodied the grit and determination of European boxing in the 1970s. Born in Tarquinia, Italy, in 1948, he became a national hero with his aggressive style and relentless willpower. By 1978, Jacopuxi had earned a shot at the European middleweight title, an opportunity that would tragically be his last. On July 19, 1978, in Bellaria, Italy, Jacopuxi faced France's Jean-Claude Boutier. The fight was expected to be competitive, but from the start, Jacopuxi took heavy punishment. Boutier's power and accuracy proved overwhelming. Round after round, Jacopuxi absorbed blow after blow, but refused to quit, embodying the warrior's code that so often drives fighters beyond their limits. In the 12th round, the referee finally stopped the fight, awarding Boutier the victory. But the damage was already done. Moments after the fight ended, Jacopuxi collapsed in the ring. Panic filled the arena as doctors rushed to save him. He was taken to a hospital in Bologna, where surgeons operated to relieve pressure from a massive brain hemorrhage. For 2 days, Jacopuxi clung to life. But on July 20th, 1978, he died at just 30 years old. His death sent shockwaves across Italy and Europe, leading to heated debates about fighter safety and medical oversight in boxing. Angelo Jacopuxi was laid to rest in his hometown of Tarquinia, Italy. His grave remains a symbol of both national pride and the unforgiving nature of boxing, a sport that demands everything, and sometimes takes everything in return.